i zapraszam na ostatni wykład firmy Intel. Będzie prezentował dyrektor generalny firmy Intel w Polsce, pan Bartosz Ciepluch. Tematem będzie największe centrum badawczo-rozwojowe Intela w Europie, zlokalizowane w Gdańsku. Zapraszam.
Okay, I will stay with English if this is fine. Let's wait for the presentation. So I used to program in the C, C++, Python, and nowadays only using for the programming Outlook. So this is a natural development when you're staying in this industry for some time. So as it was said, my name is Bartek Ciepluch, and I'm not necessarily GM for the Polish side because there is a Ryszard Dyrga who is the GM for the Poland side. And I'm the GM for the one part of the work that is being done in the Intel Poland. And this is a data center, artificial intelligence, networking, and the edge. And this is truly the engineering what is happening here. And what I will be telling, I will not be telling too much about what is happening in the Intel Gdańsk, but I wanted to, okay, let's check if this is working, yes. I wanted to tell about some magic that you will be making in the future. If you, of course, decide to stay in this industry. And this magic, you know, is very much connected with how the technology is being developed and how technology is developing our lives. And I think this is the right statement, what we can say right now, that the technology never impacted the human life so much as it is impacting right now. And this will be even going more. And one really inevitable element of the technology, and I think we have heard this today in each of the lectures that we were getting, is related with the one big growth of the one thing, which is called data. And this growth is not linear, this growth is exponential, and this will be going much, much more farther. And this is also one of the challenge which is ahead of all of us, that, you know, for many of us already the data is the noise. And this will be even bigger noise, so I will tell a few words about this in the moment. But then, you know, when you are thinking about the future and, you know, how the technology will be developing over the next years, at least in Intel, according to our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, we see that there are the 4 super factors. And these 4 super factors is the increased need for the computing power, it's the increased need for the new connectivity methods, it's the artificial intelligence, and then there is also the transformation of the infrastructure from cloud to the edge. And, you know, we are here today for the event that is organized for IEEE, and this is very much connected with this industry. So this is IT, this is the electronics, and this is the electronic engineering, which will be very much impacting the future of the technology. And this also requires a special approach. You know, whenever I'm starting this kind of the lectures, I'm saying that, you know, let's put the hypothesis that the Intel is a hardware company. And when I'm saying that hypothesis, that this is something that I will prove that this is not right. And I will also do this today. But how we will be addressing this also from the Intel perspective is that at first, we need to go for the new modern generation of the silicon based on the x86 architecture, but there is also need for the special dedicated silicons which will be addressed by the special needs and the workloads that they will be taking. And then there is also other factor related with being open. So we said today about the open source, but there is also open APIs, and why at all opening the technology? The answer is very simple. You know, if you open the technology, then it's boosting the innovation. If you are boosting the innovation, you can be faster. And this future of the technology is something that needs to be like that. You know, if we really want to deliver the great value to the human lives, we need to be faster, we need to be stronger, and we need to develop a lot of the new technologies. And last but not least, I think all of you have heard about the challenges that there is with the supply chain, which is happening for the silicon manufacturing. And of course, the COVID-19, the war in the Ukraine right now, it's also impacting that. And from the perspective of the Intel, this is also essential part that, you know, if you really think about the growing the technology, we need to have capabilities for having more silicon for the different deployments, and this requires more investments. And recently there was announced a couple of the investments also in Europe, where the Intel decided to build the new factories. But let's start with these 4 superpowers. The first superpower is related with the computing power. So we have heard today about the AWS, which is being used by the Roche, and this is exactly, public clouds is a place where you are able to find the computing power. But why you need this computing power? It's very obvious, the number of the devices that we are using, it's going, up. All of us are using more and more devices every year. And each of these devices requires some computing power. And, the way how we are experiencing the technology is exactly through the devices. And from the perspective of Intel, we really think that until end of the decade, there will be need for the 1 teraflop of the computing for each of the human being, which will be also accompanied by the 1 terabyte of the data, which needs to also really, process in the almost light of the speed way, where this will be processed in the time less than the 1 millisecond. And this is how to even imagine this. This means that for us as the developers or the designers, this is giving a big chance of the delivering, totally new experience of the digital technology. And this also will be growing the new development of the products in this area. So definitely, the compute power, this is something that will be very much needed for the development, and this will be very much customized for the different types of the workloads that we will be using. Second superpower is related with the connectivity. If you think about what I just said before, I said we need to have a more compute power. But the effect of using the compute power is the data, and this data will be growing exponentially. So now the question is that if our capabilities of connecting the data, like generating, moving, storing, processing, is already on the good level. And honestly speaking, it's not on the level that we will be needing this in the future. And this is also very much connected with the 5G transformation, which I think according to Gartner in 2025, 1/3 of the world will be already covered for the 5G. And we also need to think about the 5G, that this is not just the telecommunication new standard, but this is very much the change of the paradigm of the using the data into the system. And already the science and many researchers are working on the 6G and the new generations of the way how we are connecting the computers, how we are connecting the devices. And this is extremely needed because, in other way, we will be just having a bottleneck in the system that will not helping us in the going further with the technology. So definitely this connectivity is also a very, very important thing. And you can hear about some products like, for example, IPU, Infrastructure Processing Unit, or the Smart NIC. So this is something that we really redesigned the history, because the network interface card is quite old solution, but the Smart NIC is already a new computer into the system, which is offloading the work of the networking from the processor. So a lot of this is also happening in this area, but there will be much more, silicon photonics and then the new ways of the connecting. This is the area which requires a lot of the work because of the data that is being generated. This will be the huge amount. And the third one, cloud to the edge infrastructure. Both of them are clouds. I mean that cloud is the way of the story process. What is the difference between the cloud and the edge is very simple. So the cloud is just the server on which the processing is happening far away from the user. So this is in the data center, and the edge is just happening close to us. I said about the need of the computing power. I said that we need to have a bigger and higher connectivity. But other thing is that all of us really want to have the answer from the system on the spot. We are just putting these elements into the system. We want to get the answer very quickly. And to really get this, we need to process the data very close to the users. Once again, I will use the report from the Gartner. They are saying that in 2025, 75% of the data will be generated outside of the cloud. So it means that they will be generated near us. And this is very much, let's say, needed from the perspective of the delivering the experience that we are expecting. And if we connect the edge with the cloud, this is in reality giving you the unlimited options and the possibilities, because the cloud as such is giving you unlimited store and processing power, and the edge is giving you unlimited reach. And this combination definitely is something that will be growing over the next years. And then last but not least, I think this is the buzzword which is being heard from many places nowadays, artificial intelligence. And why this is important? Once again, data. I said about the data that there will be a huge number of the data. But the problem with the data is that if thinking about the just, zero ones, there is nothing in that. If you really want to make the business from the data, you need to change this in the meaningful insights. That you need to deliver some value to the customers. And this is the one thing which the artificial intelligence is doing, but it's not the most important. We are the human beings. We have limitations. We are bombarded with the data every day. And from our perspective, there is too much. And there will be more. So as the human beings, we require to have some kind of the abstraction layer that will be taking some, habitual decisions from our perspective. And from my perspective, this is exactly artificial intelligence. Already the machine learning is making some automations in some areas. And this is giving the space for the teams for focusing on some more creative work and delivering some extra value to the end users or the customers or the partners for these particular teams. And this is, I think, the area that will be growing the fastest and the widest. So artificial intelligence is everywhere already, and this will be, touching every simple aspect of our lives. And this will be going deeper and deeper and deeper. And here is coming the problem. And we also need to realize this, that, we are taking a look from the technical perspective. And this is, great opportunity for the development. But there is also this ethical part, which will be growing from the perspective of taking a decision. So what types of the decisions, what are the right decisions, and what are the wrong decisions, and who will be making a judgment? And I think everybody is afraid that the machines will be taking decisions instead of us. So question is that how this will be going on. But at least this is the very important superpower which will be growing over the next years. And there is something more. All of these superpowers are very much connected with the technology. But there is one secret sauce which is very much connecting all of these superpowers. And this is the software. In Intel, we see already for the last decade that the importance of the software is growing enormously for implementation of the solutions and the technologies that the Intel is providing. And how we are seeing this? And then I started with this hypothesis that the Intel is the hardware company, so now this is coming to be answered. Why? The answer is no. Intel is very much hardware and software company. So from the perspective of Intel, this picture is very well depict the way how we are seeing the software. This is the 3 layers, very simple stack, and everything starts with the basic software, which is delivering or exposing the capabilities of the hardware. This needs to be very high quality software. This needs to be very reliable software. And this is something which we call foundation. And, this is the drivers, this is the firmware, this is, BIOS. And this is something which is very much on the bottom of the operating system, not touching by many people in the, let's say, everyday life. And this is something which will not be vaporizing. This is something that definitely will be required to be developed, and there will be also coming some changes in this software. But what is important is the middle layer. So languages and the frameworks. So this is the layer which very much is the layer which is differentiating the products and the usage of them. Because, the world, how this is also changing, there is also requirement for having very instant answer from the systems. And from the perspective of the users of the technology, this means that I need to be able to adapt to the situation which has changed. And I hope you are aware about some names like software-defined networking or the software-defined functions. This is exactly the way, or the, let's say, programmable networking. These are the exactly the way how in the future software will be used. So this will be this flexibility point, which will be used by the partners and the customers for using that for their business and delivering the value. And here in this middle layer, this is exactly the point how you can combine this like with the Lego blocks for delivering this value. Of course, from Intel perspective, you are involved here very much in the open source frameworks, libraries, some reference code which can be used by the others. So this is more like these building blocks which are building the full solution. And the last but not least, something which is called solution service platform. This is the most important part from our perspective, because this is the layer on top of which everybody is able to build on the solution technology which is delivered from Intel. And this is also the way how we want to expose the silicon, so the hardware which is in the bottom, to the end user. And this is also the way how we are collaborating very much with the different companies, with different partners, with the different communities, because it's giving the chance for really finding these goodies which we want to expose to the external world. So definitely, the software is here the key. So whenever I said that everybody thinks that the Intel is the hardware company, because I think if you go for the street when you ask what Intel delivers, everybody will say that okay, this is a CPU. But this is not true, because around 20,000 of the engineers that we have in Intel, it's making a software development. Okay, of course, for the hardware development and manufacturing, there is around, I think, 50, 60,000. But still, this number is growing. And this is also the way how the Intel is planning to deliver this strategy from the software. And here is coming this very important part of the Poland, because Poland is the one of the essential place for the developing the business of Intel and also success of Intel in the world. There is around 3,000 software developers that we have in Gdańsk, and the Gdańsk is called the Software Center of Excellence. And these developers every day are very much focusing on each of the different layers of the stack for the different products. And here is coming the trick, because I think, not everyone knows that if you are using the Intel's technology, and believe me, every day, each of you is using some part of the product or the Intel technology, you can say with the big probability that partially it's because of the engineers from Gdańsk, because they made the software. And without this software, this would be not usable. And as you can see on this slide, the portfolio of the products that we are touching is extremely wide. From the audio drivers and the solutions, through the data center, through the networking, edge solutions, to the graphics development, to the open source frameworks. This is everywhere. If you want to do the open source, that's fine. Here on this slide you have a paddle framework for the machine learning, OpenVino, TensorFlow based on the Habana or Xeon. There is opportunity if you want to work in the closed solutions. That's also fine. There is a plenty of them. If you want to work in the low-level software, there is a plenty of the opportunities. So what I want to say here is that a lot of the software development is happening, and the skill set in the machine learning, skill set in the artificial intelligence are extremely essential, but they will not be delivering great value without the strong skill set in the C, C++ development and other languages which are delivering the final solution. Saying that, let me just say a few words about the way, also about the vision, how we want to grow the Intel in Poland. So from our perspective, it's very, very important to build the open, inclusive ecosystem of the innovation, which is done in the collaboration way. And this collaboration which we are doing is very much connected with the cooperation with the universities. And here we are already making a lot of the sponsorship and the scholarships. We are participating in the program solutions for the students, but we also want to participate more in the researches. With the research institution, and these are in the Europe and in Poland, we also want to deliver some value for the technology which is specific for Europe, for the Poland, because okay, this is our local ecosystem that we also need to grow. There is also part of the corporate social responsibility with the FinFacts, and this is very much connected with the one thing that I did not mention yet, that there is, with the growth of the technology, there is also something which is growing, which is called the digital gap. Digital gap between the people. So we also want to remove this kind of the digital gaps, and working with this kind of the organizations which are helping societies is a great opportunity for that. And last but not least, startups. I'm very much tracking the startup ecosystem in the Europe, and honestly speaking, other countries are more advanced than the Poland is. And we need to change this, Why? Because the startups are bringing the innovation. Because, we can foster this innovation, and they are delivering the great value for all of the future development. And this is not, some people can say, okay, he's talking about the startups because such big corporation like Intel wants to, take the company, deliver this for some kind of the other products. Of course, partially that's true. But honestly speaking, at first we need to bring the ecosystem, which is not afraid to try the solutions, and it's not afraid to fail. Because the problem with the startup, in my eye, whenever I'm talking with the Polish societies, is that everybody is very much afraid about the failure. And with the startups, 10 tries means, 9 fails. And this is something that we need to also change. So this is also the way how we are very much changing the situation and the ecosystem, and investing much more over the last year and also over the next years we'll be doing here. And last but not least, everybody is using QR code, so I also use this. But why I put it here? So I think a lot of the technology is being developed in Intel, but also, as I said, a lot of the development is happening in Intel Poland. And this is the link to some recordings that we made with the different engineers, managers, students, who are talking about the technology and how passionate they are about this. And I really, encourage you to take a look in the free time, not only for, let's say, thinking about joining the Intel, but I think the main purpose here is that develop your knowledge, because there is plenty of the different solutions in the technological space, and it's very difficult to follow all of the trends. And this is this thing which I think we also, as the engineering geeks, need to address for the future, how to handle this amount of the data and the information which is being brought here. So if you want to hear more about the Intel, I'm here. We can go into the details for some topics. But honestly speaking, as I said at the beginning, everybody thinks that Intel is a hardware company, but the truth is that it's very much software. So thanks very much.
Bardzo dziękuję firmie Intel. To była nasza ostatnia prezentacja firm dzisiaj.